Iya, iya. Bisa dimulai?
Okay, so saya boleh mula?
Silakan.
Okay, terima
Boleh, boleh Pak.
kasih. Alright.
Silakan.
So, first of all, I think I would like to say this to all my students lah. Actually, I'm very how would I say? I'm very sorry because today kind of like macam blur sikit one of the reasons. One of the reason mungkin ni slide-nya memang fresh from oven ya. Memang baru pagi tadi, baru sebelum 9:30 tadi baru siap slide-nya. Saya sudah bicara dengan Pak Susilo. So that's why I kind of like macam, but I'm sorry if I have any hiccups and during my presentation, but I'm very sorry. But I try my best, okay? Okay, let me share my presentation with all. Okay, before that. Okay, so is everyone can see my presentation? Boleh ya? Nampak ya?
Ya, nampak Pak.
Yeah, okay. All right. So I think we're going to continue our this is a fine last presentation for today, inshallah, the lecture that I share with you. And just to for your information juga pada all student Brawijaya, all this lecture actually totally developed especially for you guys. I never had this kind of apa itu ya, this kind of presentation, even not with my students. So this is something I think it's also new knowledge for me, but it's very interesting. This is actually at the same time I'm also learning through this process. So it's a very thank you to Dr. Susilo actually approached me that give me opportunity to do this kind of lecture. So at one side actually before this I only look thermal comfort and so on more on objectively, but now I think I can see both, which is on the subjective also. So this is very good experience for me. So talking about experience, so this is all about the material as experience. Yeah. So but this one, as I said to you, I just fresh from an oven, just make this presentation, and I hope I can complete also within the time frame. Okay. All right. So let's start our lecture for today. So the last, but not least, lecture is titled on material as experience, sensory and atmospheric qualities in architectural design. So in our previous lecture, yeah, in our previous lecture, we explore how climates and environmental conditions shape human experience in architecture. So we basically discussed thermal comfort as lived experience, atmosphere in public spaces, sensory stimuli, and how environmental conditions influence behavioral and perception. But for this presentation, we move one step deeper. Instead of focusing primarily on climate or environmental strategy, we now focus on material itself, not only as construction, a structure or surface, but something experienced directly through the body. Yeah? So because in architecture, material is never neutral, it is shaped atmosphere, sensory perception, and lived experience. So this lecture asks a different question. How does material shape atmosphere, sensory perception, and lived experience in architecture? Before we begin, let us briefly look at how today's discussion continue from the previous lecture. So in the first lecture, we discussed material as a climate mediator. We explore how shading, thermal comfort, and environmental response influence body experience in tropical climates. Yeah? And on the second presentation lecture, we shifted towards material as environmental strategy. So here we discuss on how material intervention such as airflow, facades, vegetation and passive system can intentionally shape atmosphere and comfort. Okay. And then in the third lecture just now, that we expanded the discussion into public space and also spatial atmosphere. So we examine how sensory stimuli, microclimate, and environmental perception influence behavior and occupants within public environment. Okay, but for today lecture is slightly different. For this lecture, yeah. So today we move closer to the sensory and emotional qualities of material itself. So we are no longer looking at material only as environmental performance. Instead, we ask, how does a material feel? How does it affect atmosphere? How does it shape memory, emotion, factility, and bodily perception? So in other words, today we explore material not as an object, but as a lived experience. Okay. So we look at these two spaces. Yeah. So both may perform similar architectural function. Both may provide enclosure, circulation, and occupation. Yeah. Yeah. But experientially, this feel very different. One space may feel warm, calming, intimate, and inviting, but while others may feel distant, colder, harder, and emotionally detached. So the question is, where does this difference come from? Is it from the form? Is it from the start? Or is it something deeper on how material interact with the body? Even when spaces have similar function, different material can completely transform thermal perception, acoustic atmosphere, light quality, textile sensation, and emotion experience. And this is why material is never only technical or visual, it is also shapes atmosphere experientially. Okay, and to understand this, we first need to shift how we think about material itself. So in architecture, material is often discussed visually, as I said. So we always explain material, how we see it, and so on. Yes, of course, sense from the visual also part of the phenomenology, but it's actually not limited to that. Yeah? So normally we discuss, as I mentioned before, we discuss about colors, texture, composition, style, and appearance. But mm, before the material was understood intellectually, the body actually sensed it first. Yeah? So we immediately feel whether the surface is warm or cool, soft or harsh, light or heavy, calming or uncomfortable. Yeah. So even body touching, even before touching directly, the body already respond to reflected heat, acoustic quality, filtered light, humidity, and spatial texture. So this means material is not only something we look at, it is something where we physically experience. So for example, a rough concrete wall, yeah, warm timber surface, perforated brick screen, or cool stone floor may all create completely different bodily and atmospheric sensation. So material does not simply from architectural visually, it shapes how architecture is felt through the body. So when we speak about material in architecture, we often think about construction, structure, or visual appearance. But materially, architecture is experienced through many sensory layers simultaneously. We experience texture through tactility, yeah. Material also influence thermal perception. Acoustically, material affect how sounds behave in space. Material also shape light. Some material even create atmosphere, memory through smell. And real material continue changing over time, and material become deeply connected to memory. So in phenomenology, material is not passive. It's actively shape how architecture is sensed, remembered, and emotional experience. So material is never only surface, it's become part of the atmosphere itself. So let's talk about the first one, touch and tactility. Tactility. Okay. So one of the most immediate way we experience material is through touch and tactility. Yeah? So even before consciously analyze a space, the body instinctively read texture and surface condition. So we immediately sense whether the material feel rough and smooth, warm and cool, soft and hard, porous and reflective. So these tactile differences may appear subtle, but they strongly influence how atmosphere is experienced emotionally and physically. For example, a cool stone surface may feel calm and grounded, while a highly reflective material surface may feel distant or harsh. So natural materials such as timber, woven bamboo, in these photos, right? So earth or texture stone often create stronger sensory intimacy because their surface contains variation, imperfection, and textile richness. So architectural theorists, Johanni Palasma, argue that architecture should not be experienced only through vision. Yeah, but he writes that the eye want to collaborate with the other senses. Okay, so this means that seeing and touching are deeply connected. So sometimes, even without directly physically contact, the eye can already imagine how the material may feel against the bodies. Yeah. So good materiality is not only visually beautiful, it invites the body to sense space more deeply. Material does not respond to climate equally. Different material absorb, store, and release heat at different rate. Some material, such as concrete, asphalt, or dense stones, have high thermal mass. Yeah, so they absorb large amount of solar heat during the day and slowly release the heat back into the environment. So in the context of tropical, I think this might not a good choice of material because of high thermal mass. So it's actually released during the night time. So then it becoming not a good experience to your user during the night time. Okay, because of the heat that you probably will feel during the night time. Okay, but because the body often experience not only air temperature but also the radiant heat emitted from the surrounding surfaces. So this is what I told you about the tropical environment. But having looking on the images, that you can see that this one, even though using the same material here, both using the concrete material, but if you are designed with certain extension of degree of how do you say, shading or overhang, cantilever, and so on, with the context of vegetation and so on, and even using the water element within the within your design, it can actually provide a better thermal environment. Yeah. So this is maybe if you are comparing above or open and exposed to solar radiation compared to the down to the below images, the below images is actually much appropriate or much appreciated for when talking about the thermal environment. Yeah. So in tropical architecture, material selection become especially important because solar radiation is intense and continuously experienced through the body. So that's why I said this is very, very important to make sure that your your spaces is not provide or probably you design the space more comfortably. Material does not only define enclosure, it also shape how light enter and experience within space. So different material filter light differently. Some material absorb light, some reflect it, while other diffuse, soften, and fragment light spatially. Perforated and layered material create filtered environment condition rather than complete separation. So as light passes through this material, shadow itself become part of the architectural atmosphere. The body experience movement of light, changing shadow density, visual softness, and temporal variation throughout the day. So this is why filtered light often feel calmer, softer, more intimate, and emotionally richer compared to fully exposed illumination. So in tropical architecture especially, filtering light become very important because sunlight intensity is extremely strong. Yeah. So as I said, we have abundance of that. Only that we need to carefully design to make sure that the daylight that we receive into indoor space, somehow it's already been filtered and it useful for in term of daylight intensity. Yeah. So we don't want to have a glaring and so on, but we want to have a daylight that actually can be used for everyday normal activities that we have or that we design for that specific spaces. Okay. So instead of blocking light completely, many tropical architecture mediate sunlight through layers, permeability, and shadow producing material. So in phenomenological experience, light is not only visual information, it becomes something atmospheric, temporal, and body experience. And sometimes we do not remember the world itself, but we remember the light it produces. In this sense, material become an instrument that shape light into atmosphere. Material affect not only what we see and touch, but also what we hear. Okay. So every material responds to sound differently. Some material absorb sound, while others reflect, amplify, and reverberate throughout space. Yeah? So hard, dense materials such as concrete, glass, steel, or polystone often reflect sound strongly, which producing echoes, resonance, and acoustic intensity. In contrast, softer and more porous material such as timber, fabric, vegetation, woven surfaces, or acoustic panel absorb and diffuse sounds, create calmer and softer acoustic atmosphere. So this is why two spaces with similar dimension may feel completely different acoustically. Yeah? So one space may feel intimate, quiet, warm, and calming, while others may feel harsh, stressful, empty, and emotionally distant. So the body responds to acoustic atmosphere very quickly, even before consciously analyze space, we can already sense whether as an environment feel calm or acoustically stressful. Yeah. So in tropical architecture, many spaces are semi-open and environmentally connected. So because of this, atmosphere become an important part of spatial comfort and sensory experience. Sound is invisible, yet it strongly shapes how architecture is emotionally perceived. So we do not only remember how space look, but we remember how it sounds. So not all architectural experience is visual, yeah. So I keep reminding this, yeah. So because what we are doing is multisensory, so do not just attach yourself with visual. That you have to see how also other sensory can relate with, yeah. So not only about visual, but some atmosphere are remembered through smell, yeah. Certain material and environmental condition produce very distinct sensory memory, such example, a smell of timber, wet earth after rain, where I think most of you probably familiar with the name of petrichor, which is the smell of after the rain, right? So they also one of the smell that they make for the perfume, yeah. So also we can have can remember the smell of humidity within the tropical vegetation, rain on concrete and aged material surfaces. Yeah. So this immediately trigger emotional and spatial association. Yeah. Interestingly, smell is deeply connected to memory and emotion within human perception. So in tropical environmental especially, smell become part of its atmospheric experience because climate conditions are strongly present through rain, humidity, vegetation, moisture, and organic material aging. Material interact continuously with climates. Timber absorb moisture, stone darken after rain, earth release sands, and vegetation intensify environmental atmosphere. Unlike texture or light, smell cannot be directly seen, yet it strongly influences on how space is emotionally perceived. Yeah? In phenomenology, sensory memory is important because architecture is experienced through the whole body, not only through vision. Yeah? Sometimes a single smell can bring back the memory of entire space instantly, right? So sometimes if you are relate with fish market, yeah, or wet market, the smell of the wet market itself, you straight away you can associate with the or probably the smell of the fish actually, that you actually can straight away associate with the wet market and so on. All right. So this is why atmosphere is not only constructed visually, it is also carried through invisible sensory experience. So unlike digital images or perfect rendering, real materials continue changing over time. Okay, they weather, fade, absorb moisture, develop stain, oxidize, and crack, and slowly record environmental exposure. In this sense, material is never static. It's continuously interact with climates, sunlight, humidity, touch, rain, and human occupation. In tropical environment, especially, aging become highly visible through moss grow, yeah, moisture staining, timber weathering, material fading, and biological interaction with climates. Okay, but I have to remember, even though moisture are very important, humidity very that one is but we have to see. Hopefully, you don't make the space that you remember because of the smell of the mildew or probably the smell of the what the mold, yeah, kulat fungus. apa itu kulit? Fungus. So we have to see on how we have to tackle that. Hopefully, it's not up to that. But some of the such as this one, apa ni, beton. You call it as beton concrete. Concrete is even nicer when it's aging. Because of the colors, it's weathering and so on. Similar to copper or other materials such this one that you can see is weathering, and it produce green color here, such that what we call as a patina. So it's fading and so on. And this imperfection often make architecture feel more emotionally alive. So perfectly smooth and untouched material may feel distant, while weathered surface often feel familiar, grounded, softer, and more human. And this idea is closely related to the Japanese concept of wabi-sabi, which value imperfection, aging, and the body of time embedded within material. Okay, even Peter Zamto also speak about atmosphere emerging through material aging, texture, and sensory present over time. In phenomenology, architect not experience as frozen form, it experience as something living and changing through time. Material do not simply occupy a space, they carry traces of time. And sometimes these traces are what makes a place emotionally memorable. So architecture is not remembered only through form or geometry, but very often we remember spaces through sensory traces. So certain atmosphere remain in memory because they were experienced bodily and emotionally. Sometimes you remember the coolness of a shaded floor, the smell of rain on concrete, the sound of timber under footsteps, filtered morning light, or the humidity of the tropical veranda. So these memories are rarely stored as technical information. They are stored as sensory impression. Memory in architecture often emerge through texture, smell, temperature, sound, and light. Interestingly, a single sensory condition can immediately reactivate the memory of entire space. For example, the smell of old timber, the sound of rain, the certain shadow condition may suddenly bring back a childhood environment emotionally. So in tropical context, sensory memory become especially powerful because environmental conditions are intensely experienced through daily life. Sometimes people forget the exact form of building, but they never forget how it felt. So in this sense, material become part of the memory itself. In tropical architecture, material is not only aesthetic, but material become a mediator between climate, environment, and the body. Tropical environment are highly sensory. Heat, humidity, rainfall, airflow, sunlight, and vegetation are continuously experienced through the body. Because of this, tropical architecture often use material that do not completely isolate the environment, but carefully filter and mediate it. So traditional tropical architecture commonly use bamboo, timber, terracotta, woven material, breathable wall, deep roof overhang, and layered envelope. So this material allow airflow, filter light, thermal release, moisture responses, and environmental adaptation. But importantly, these environmental responses also produce atmosphere, filter sunlight, moving shadow, porous surfaces, and ventilated layer create spaces that feel softer, cooler, lighter, and more connected to climate. So this is why many contemporary tropical architects continue reinterpreting vernacular material strategies not only for sustainability but also for sensory and atmospheric richness. So in phenomenological term, tropical materiality is not about separating human from climate. It is about carefully negotiating environmental experience through material. So tropical architecture often perform best when material act as a filter rather than barrier. So in this sense, tropical materiality become both environmental performance and live sensory experience. So in many conventional buildings, walls are often treated as a solid separator between inside and outside. Yeah, I think this is what I also mentioned during our first presentation. But you should make it shift. Yeah, in tropical architecture, boundaries are often designed differently. Yeah, instead of creating completely separated or separation, many tropical materials create permeability. Yeah, so materials such as porous wall, ventilated block, woven bamboo, timber, screen, and layered facade allow environmental exchange to continue through spaces. So these permeable boundaries help filter sunlight, allow airflow, soften heat, diffuse sound, and mediate environmental exposure. But beyond environmental performance, permeability also create atmospheric richness. Light become filtered, shadow become layered, and movement become visible through material, and space feel more breathable and environmental connected. Yeah. So the most interestingly, permeable architecture also soften the boundary between interior and also exterior experience. So instead of fully isolating the body from climate, tropical architecture often create gradual environmental transition. So this in phenomenological term, permeability allowed the body to remain aware of environmental present. So the body can still sense airflow, humidity, filter light, rain sound, and outdoor atmosphere. So tropical comfort often comes not from the complete enclosure, but from carefully controlled environmental openness. And this way, material become not a barrier, but a mediator between a body and a climate. So material does not only shape atmosphere statistically, statically, sorry. So it also influence how the body move through space. Different material create different behavioral response. Certain surface encourage slowing down, pausing, sitting, gathering, and tactile interaction, while other material may encourage faster movement, caution, separation, or distance. Material transition are especially important in phenomenological experience. For example, moving from rough stone to warm timber to cool shaded flooring create changing bodily sensation throughout movement. So in many tropical and traditional environment, barefoot experience becomes highly significant. So the feet directly sense temperature, texture, moisture, softness, and surface variation. So transitional flow condition itself, yeah, also help define spatial environment. Okay, changing in material can subtly communicate entire entry, pause, intimacy, openness, and also environmental transition. So this means material is not only something seen from the distance. It is continuously experienced while walking, touching, and spatial occupation. So in tropical architecture, semi-open spaces, shaded threshold veranda, and textile ground condition often create rich sensory movement experience. So the body is actually understand material not only through the vision, yeah, but also through the movement across the space. So in this sense, material quietly choreograph how architecture is inhabited. So throughout this lecture, we begin to see that material is never experienced passively. Material shape, temperature, light, sound, movement, textility, memory, and also atmosphere simultaneously. So, and because of this, material does not only construct space physically, but it's construct experience. So in architecture, the material is often treated as a technical component. We discuss structure, detailing, performance, durable, and also construction system. I think this is normal that we discuss. But in phenomenologically, material is much more than physical assemble. So material shape how light is filtered, how heat is experienced, how sounds behave, and the body move, how body move, and how atmosphere is emotionally perceived. So as this is what I think Nanta mentioned just now, maybe from his idea how he actually tried to develop from the beginning of developing the concept. But throughout the narrative letter, when you are presenting your design, the way that you're presenting, you should put or you should make the sentence with the how it can feel through the experience. Yeah, so you have to explain how the space. Not only we talk about the dimension, talking about the structure and so on, but we're most focusing on how the space feel, and so on and so forth. So this is the thing that we are talking about phenomenologically. Yeah. So I know some of it is very hard to portray in term of end product, but the way you narrate it, your product letter or probably your design, some especially daylighting, I think I mean daylight or light, you can present that one easily through your presentation. But some other thing that you need to explain, and maybe you have to put some notes there that this is let's say the selection of plant that it can create the shade, the selection of filter, this is how to make it feel more comfortable and so on. But if I'm not sure, but maybe another way to show or to present or to give the evidence through objectively. Maybe you also can use a simulation, such as I think even in SketchUp now they already you can show how the thermal environment and so on, or maybe even in the Rhino and so on. I mean, some of this, I think that is a graphic tool that students use. So that also can be used for you to show, maybe not as probably just to give the evidence that this space is actually can show that the thermal comfort has been or probably the thermal has been reduced and so on. If you have a time to do that, I know that it can be time consumed to prepare that. But if not, then I think with your presentation with some notes that mention this is how your approach in order for you to give the phenomenological experience to your building, then you can put in with the notes. I think that is one way. All right. So this material is actually not simply an object placed within architecture. It's become a medium through which atmosphere is produced and experienced. Through material, architecture communicate softness, calmness, warmth, intimacy, openness, and even silence. Yeah. So in tropical architecture, especially, material often mediates between climates, environment, and bodily comfort. So we really experience material independently. We experience it as atmosphere. So in this sense, material become one of the most powerful instruments in shaping lived architectural experience. So, as a final reflection, throughout this lecture, we explore climates, atmosphere, sensory experience, public spaces, and materiality. But ultimately, all of this discussion return to the one idea. Architecture is not experienced only visually. Yeah. It is experienced through the body, the senses, the movement, memory, and environmental perception. So we remember filtered light, we remember cool surfaces, moving air, material texture, sounds, and atmosphere far longer than form alone. Okay, so we do not only see architecture, but we send it through the body. Thank you very much.
Thank
Okay.
you so much, Pak Khairul. Very interesting. Iya, menarik sekali, Pak. Besar sekali. Oke. Yep. Oke, ya. Ada pertanyaan di sini, teman-teman? Yep. Jadi memang material itu memiliki peran yang sangat penting ya, Pak ya. Jadi, so as a conclusion, maybe I can say that knowing and becoming familiar with various kind of material for architecture student is inevitable, ya Pak. Ya, so jadi kita harus paham memang itu material yang digunakan seperti apa, ya Pak. Ya, jadi karakternya segala macam. Oke. Ada yang ditanyakan, teman-teman? Oke, maybe mungkin saya bisa bertanya dulu Pak ya. Jadi ada,
Yeah, okay, Azhar.
oke ya jadi jadi uh, oke you mentioned that material can create several kinds of experience through environment yang dibuat berdasar dari material itu. So my question is, should the selection of materials in design priorities especially to create environment quality. I mean, to create atmosphere through environmental quality, or is the main objective of the selection material itself? For instance, like this, maybe. For instance, like this. Uh, if I want to design, I mean, I want to select a certain kind of material. For instance, like natural material
Mhm.
to create tactile experience in our environment. But the location of my building is it has a high humidity.
No,
So
okay.
should I stay with natural material or should I alter it into fabrication materials? If I change into fabrication material, will it has certain kind of sense through my design of my space. So, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, the first answer I would say definitely, which is material is very important when you make a decision. You want to make a decision which material should choose for certain character environment that you want to create, right? So in this context, you're asking about, should you use a material that is natural or should be a fabricated material in order for you, if the space is with a high humidity and so on, right? So okay, well, back to the what exactly that you want to make or create the environment that or experience actually, right? Because some of material probably you can feel the humidity in a good way, yeah. Even though in the tropical climate humidity is not so good, you
Mm-mm.
need to make sure that the humidity being reduced. Probably need to wash away the words.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, not indirectly wash away. So we need to provide a air movement and so on. So whether it should be a natural and or fabricated, I think that is no right and wrong also, I can say, because
Mm-mm.
when it's natural, probably they also can be or contribute to the humidity level, higher humidity level. When you choose a fabricated material, that also can produce the same humidity numbers. But in order to have that, I think it's not only about material, but you have to put strategy as I mentioned earlier, which is you need to have to make sure that there is a activities or there is a occasion occurrence of wind flow in your spaces.
Mm-mm.
So then you can feel much better environment in terms of thermal, right? So airflow is needed when you have a higher humidity. But when talk about a material, which one to use, I think when it's natural can be, especially if where this natural is most it's a local material and it's more sustainable. I think it's more reflect to the context, and also it even resemble our architecture much better. So if I have to choose, I might choose material with the natural or nature material compared to the fabricated. But again, it all depend on how you want to design or how you want to make your environment exactly to be
Mm,
felt.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there is no right or wrong, but
Mm-mm.
if you ask me, I would choose the material with the natural. But even
Mm-mm.
though the material doesn't say that you can reduce the humidity,
Mm-mm.
but it's always have to when you dealing with humidity, you need to cater how you want to create the ventilation, how you want to create
Mm-mm.
the airflow. So that is important that when
Oh,
you
okay.
deal with humidity, need to consider is how you deal or how you want to create the airflow. So that is the
Oh,
answer.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. Okay, but sometimes natural materials need more what is it, a higher maintenance
Mhm.
than fabrication, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, as I said, definitely, that is totally agree. So that is also if you go through my presentation also, that is one part that I'm talking about imperfection, right? Imperfection,
Mm-hmm.
which is we're talking about. Sometimes it's weather, sometimes some of the moss and so on grow on the material. It can be remembered, it can be experienced, which people like it. This is what do you call this? This can be vice versa. Certain people will like, will not. But
Mm-hmm.
talking about maintenance, yeah, this is also that I mentioned many times. I also always said that to my student, when you choose a material that will increase the humidity, such as probably there is moisture inside the material, so you need to make sure that it can be one airflow, because airflow itself can reduce the humidity, but also the way the orientation of the materials. So you may have to make sure that it at least can receive the sunlight. When you have the sunlight, then also it can reduce the humidity also. So one is airflow and the other one is sunlight. So when you choose material with natural material, so when there is actually sunlight, so it also can help the material. Uh, I mean, more is more working in that particular space. So sunlight and when come to the airflow, and the other one is
Airflow.
sunlight lah. There
Okay.
I can say that how you want to deal with that.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Okay.
Oke, nice. So,
Hmm.
thank you.
All right.
Oke, eh, ada pertanyaan yang lain? Ya, teman-teman yang lain bisa bertanya. Nah, ini kayaknya saya harus absen ini satu persatu ini. Ya,
Ada di kolom chat, Pak.
kenapa?
Nggak
Oh, ada.
apa-apa, saya
Ada
oke
di kolom
aja.
chat.
Oh, ada di kolom chat ada pertanyaan, Pak.
Oh ya, alright, oke.
Iya, oke. Renaldi, yap. Panjang sekali. Ini
Ini
kalau
kalau
saya baca
kalau
ini.
kalau kolom chat itu dapat OVO nggak tuh?
Renaldi.
Renaldi mungkin
Tugas
bisa
saya
disampaikan,
Wapri.
Renaldi, bahasa Indonesia nggak apa-apa. Nanti ini apa singkatnya apa yang ditanyakan, nanti saya bisa. Ini. Renaldi masih di sini?
Asikkan suara, oke.
Mic-nya bermasalah,
Renaldi.
Pak.
Oh, mic-nya bermasalah. Oke, yap.
Bisa
Oke, saya
Renaldi.
harus bacakan dulu ini ya,
Oh,
Pak.
enggak, karena
Oke.
kondisi urgen.
Iya. Jadi ini Pak, saya bacakan dulu ya Pak Khairul. Jadi ini pertanyaan dari Renaldi Haidir. Jadi dia mendesain Community Activity Hub. Oke. Jadi saya melihat bahwa pembatas antar ruang umumnya dibentuk menggunakan dinding atau material masif yang terasa kaku dan cenderung hanya bekerja secara visual. Karena itu, saya tertarik mencoba menggunakan aliran air sebagai separator ruang untuk menciptakan batas yang lebih fleksibel dan atmosferik. Selain menjadi elemen visual, saya juga ingin menghadirkan elemen air yang dapat menghadirkan suasana alami sekaligus membantu menciptakan kenyamanan termal pada ruang. Pertanyaannya, menurut Bapak, bagaimana cara mempertimbangkan keseimbangan antara kualitas suara dari air, kenyamanan pengguna, dan performa ruang agar elemen tersebut tetap mendukung atmosfer ruang tanpa mengganggu aktivitas di dalamnya? Ya, oke.
Okay. Wow, very
Eh,
interesting
do you get
question.
it? Oke.
Thank
Ya.
you, Rinaldi. I think very interesting. I think in order to solve through design, there is so many ways, right? But
Mm-mm.
yeah, because we can see when using the water element, yeah, so we can see the benefit of the water element, which is as to cool the space and also even to make a sound itself, right? So that idea is very good, yeah. Only that how you want to solve or probably how you want to put it in the space, I think there is ada apa itu pelbagai cara. There are many option that you can choose, right? So one way that I can think about which is when we talk about water, there is a element water. Probably you want to design without disturbing the function, as you mentioned, right? You don't want to you want to make sure that the space is still can be used as for its function, right? So one way maybe with the certain ideas of water for thermal comfort, yeah, for thermal comfort, you have to make sure the thing if it is in the your indoor environment. Yes, this is what Pak Rijal mentioned about humidity. So you have to make sure that if it is in your space of in one space that, especially if it is a enclosure, yeah, enclosed, yeah. So you need to make to have more or provide some openness. You cannot just simply make it in. That's why it's humid, yeah. So that's then you have to make it certain void, certain spaces that actually can make the humidity can be moved towards outside. Yeah? So that is in order for you to make more comfortable. And the other one, you have to make sure that water that you would like to design with is a movement water. It's a movable water. I mean, I propose, I personally encourage to have more movable water, like a water fountain probably, or maybe just a little stream, or maybe kind of like water dropping, raining and so on. Yeah. So because of why? Because especially in the context of outdoor. Yeah, when you have maybe as I mentioned, you may be designed with the outdoor environment. When you have a stagnant water, probably the stagnant water is not somehow give a better thermal environment to your context. It need to be moved. The water need to be moved because one way, because when it move, it is make the thermal environment much cooler. Yeah, but at the same time, the humidity also not going to be stagnant. Okay, so in this sense, with the combination of openness and semi enclosure, probably not totally direct enclosed, because when you enclose without the airflow, without the sunlight to dry the wetness of the space, that is become mold and moss and so on. So that is what you don't want to be, right? So if you want, you have the intention to have the water as a separator. I highly encourage for you to do that because it will give a different or significant in terms of experience to the space. Only that you have also need to control the way of the sound, yeah, because sometimes sound of the water also can be not so calm because if it is happen every time, probably repetitive throughout a day, yeah, can be also stressful. So you have to decide the way how you want it to water move or create a sound. So in your case, when you talk about pertimbangan keseimbangan, ya, kualitas suara dan air, dari air, kenyamanan pengguna, performa ruang, saya rasa I think water itself is a good option for you. As I said, it's not only thermally comfortable, but also to create a sound, but sound that you want to do, you have to see not as a very intense sound. It should become a sound, yeah. And the other one, for the kenyamanan, you have to make sure the humidity part itself. So the humidity, when you tackle that, such as using make sure that there is a airflow, make sure there's sunlight that actually can reduce reduce the humidity, and at the same time you need to make sure it is a semi open or enclosure, cannot be totally 100% enclosed. Okay, so how you design the configuration of your space is actually configuration of to make sure that space is function is all depend on you. Back to the design lah. So I think it has to be creatively configured. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. But to use a water, I think definitely it's a good option. I
Okay.
hope, Rinaldi, I answering you.
Yeah, sure. It's clear enough. Okay. Okay. Following the Renaldi question, Pak. According to Pak Khairil, yeah.
Mhm.
Is there any particular strategy to select material which create certain kind of sensory in environment between indoor and outdoor?
Okay.
So,
If you are talking about environmental, I mean, especially on the comfortness and so on, or environmental experience, one of it, I think throughout my presentation, I mentioned that the
yeah.
first strategy that you have to think about, how can you shape the environment? So shape material selection has to choose due to you want to make a shading or to protect your spaces, your spaces that you design, right? So it's depending on how you choose, but material is very important. So then after that, you have to make sure it's allowed for air ventilation, yeah, movement. So that material, that is all that actually related. When you want to choose one material, you have to make sure that is this material able to shade? Is this material is actually allowed for airflow? Is this material also won't store heat so much during the daytime and so on and so forth. So when you make a certain decision, I think it's depend again back to what you design and what orientation probably on other things that you need to cater. But if you want to have a thermal or environmental experience, so these strategies need to be catered uh, uh, consequently. I mean, together, cannot be separated or make one decision by one particular decision only, yeah, or particular variables parameter, yeah. So I would say if you want to select material, if it is for because as we mentioned, material here is part of to the one mediator, yeah, mediator between indoor, outdoor, and the body, right? So outdoor, indoor, and the body. So that's why the material that you decide here as one to a mediator here. So you need to make sure that it can create the environment or even the next stage that you mentioned about emotion. It should be tackle through the consequence that you get from the climate first. Then after that you definitely benda yang lain itu akan consequently akan happen slowly, cantik saja. Yeah, I would say consider the impact from the climate first of in order for you to select material. Okay, Pak.
Okay, yep. Okay, nice, Pak. So we can create a comfortable
Mhm.
space, right?
Yeah.
Ya, ada pertanyaan yang lain? Ayo, ini teman-teman ini kayaknya banyak pertanyaan, cuman agak malu kayaknya.
Ya, nggak
Tanpa,
apa-apa, boleh bicara
ayo,
bahasa Indonesia,
ya,
no problem.
oke. Ayo
Tapi
teman-teman.
nggak apa-apa. Saya rasa mungkin mereka ya apa mungkin juga mereka sudah mengerti apa yang
Iya,
disampaikan. Hopefully, hopefully all
oke.
this lecture actually help the student for their design. They can use this for their design. Hopefully, yeah. So maybe if not this time, maybe some other time
Oke.
also. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I believe it will give has a direct impact to the design because nowadays they try to develop the design. Yeah,
Mm.
so your material will enrich their process to design. Oke, Nanta mau nanya lagi?
Maybe a little bit because I'm actually thinking while the
Ah,
conversation is going, and maybe kind of get curious
hmm,
about something. So mostly, uh, everyone is building kind of a public use building. So right, and then maybe I want to look at there's two types of public buildings. Maybe somebody else make libraries, or somebody else like me included is also making some kind of more like crowded public spaces like malls. And when talking about malls, uh I actually came like the idea of this function of my building is because I want to like capture the social activity that is uh really making like mm, the actual experience I had in the site, and it correlates to how we use materials as some sort of way to capture nature elements inside the building. And then looking at another aspect, which is vernacular wisdom, mainly older buildings do have more like an outdoor layout. So mostly activities are done outside a building. But since it's already been generations, and also like climate is changing, mostly heavy rains and all that, it really has a bad decision to just make an outdoor kind of area rather that. And when actually designing this like mall, it might be making like crowded feeling, maybe like very clustered or um uncomfortable, which I don't really want to induce that. I just wanted to make like uh strolling down an alleyway which full of markets and uh visuals that makes it more fun to experience rather than uncomfortable. And then how do I say this? So the is it important to keep the nature element going through inside the indoor building to create some sort of outdoor vibe, even though it's not really outdoors? I guess that's what I really thought about.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Nata. Very interesting question, I think. Well, the answer might be no right or no wrong. Yeah, neither right or neither no wrong. So basically, when you want to create, I think the idea of what you are doing is very interesting and intelligent. Yeah. So this is, I think, the qualities that you have here that you don't forget. This is how people use the space. That is a good thing that you consider. So I kind of admire you on that, right? So your question whether should you use or imitate probably then maybe imitate maybe the natural look of outside, even though in the context of indoor environment, right? Indoor meaning that probably in the semi enclosure, probably within the building boundaries, or maybe the courtyard itself, right? I think the most nature, or probably the most natural environment that you can create, the more people will attach to it. And even in the tropical climates, that is even more. Yeah, I mean that is even more when when you are in the tropical climate. So I totally encourage. I highly encourage if you can imitate as much as you can. If it is most natural, it can be. So why? Because when you imitate the most natural, but oh yeah, okay, let me answer that one. When you imitate the most natural condition, definitely that the environment that you provide, yeah, I mean, thermally, yeah, thermally, it is definitely is a good environment, meaning that it can cooling down due to the shade of the plants, due to water movement, and so on and so forth. So that is thermally, and also people occupancy to the space is going to be high. Right? But um, in order to do that, I think it's not so hard actually, because as I said, the way you design, how you want to have an interaction between outdoor and indoor. So that is where your design become more creative, or probably become more intelligent. You designing outdoor space or indoor function is actually interact directly to the outdoor. So that is where you see the area, or probably because you mentioned about the crowdness and so on. So that is also can make the space is actually become how you say it, disperse the crowdness, not actually centered and so on. So the way when you want to design the indoor and outdoor, the way that you attach both, or how you connect that, one way is maybe how you make it smoothly transition between indoor and outdoor. So maybe let's say the example, the function of indoor is actually the mall, or probably the shopping mall, we say the unit, the tenant, yeah, one of your tenant, and then the way you do your business, actually you can uh, flow into the outdoor. So probably such as a cafe and so on. So the transition actually you can make with if you are carefully designed with indoor and outdoor. So some of the area is actually being shaded, or probably indoor, or probably enclosed, but some of it is outdoor. But the way you choose the material for the in between is actually probably is an opening, big opening where they can be open and closed easily. So the interaction between indoor and outdoor, I think it can be simultaneously. So therefore, the natural that you provide outside is not only feel to the outdoor, but also you bring into to the indoor. So then again, that's why I said it's no answer is right or wrong, but I highly encourage you to do so because I can see the advantage not only from the thermal environment, but also the advantage on how people will use the space, how people will actually behave, yeah, or respond to that particular space. So this is all about how you want to make or configure the spaces or design the connection between indoor and outdoor. Okay, so the thing that I can say, the interaction between indoor and outdoor, and the other one, the semi-openness, meaning that you cannot do just simply enclosed, but you make it is a bit open, let the environment can feel through not only the outside but also to the inside. Okay, I hope that I can answer you, Nata, but I can see that where is your direction go. So that is going to be very interesting design letter if you can able to produce and can do that in your design. Yeah. So if you want to implement or replicate the plant trees around your outdoor area with the seating, with the restaurant, probably the cafe area, or probably you can have a mini stall within the context of, and I think the initial that you mentioned about climate change, about how we actually have a heavy rain right now. Yeah, that one, I think that is one of the changes that we can see and feel or probably experience now, right? So then this is also where your design solution that you have to cater, meaning that when we have a heavy rain, one of the experience that we need to think about is the stormwater management itself. So we will don't want to feel that our outdoor environment will flooded, probably the water will be stagnant and so on. So then you need to think about how you can design. Probably you design with the bioswale design, which is actually embedded within the nature of that you design. You are also if you maybe have a small stream within your contact and so on. So then this is to cater the stormwater management, part of the stormwater management that you do. But on top of that, I think another issue with heavy rain that we have is actually the tempias. How is say in English? Tempias. I think Indonesia use the same word,
Yeah,
right? Tempias,
tempias.
yeah? Yeah. Okay. So the tempias are then this is where you need to have within your design, I try to think creatively, meaning that to have a big overhang that to protect from the tempias and so on. So that is also probably not make if it is rain and make tempias and so on. So that is also not what makes we're not very comfortable with that. So that is the wise decision as a designer to think on how to tackle all this issue. We can provide the outdoor environment, but we also need to see how we can uh, cater or resolve all this issue later. That we already see it. Yeah, we already can predict this can be happen. So you already take care of that. Okay, Nanda. I hope I
Yes,
answer you.
thank you, Mr. Khairul. It really
Okay.
answers my
All right.
question
Okay,
because
nice.
I thought
Uh-huh.
I was just about I made the idea because I want to induce kind of intimacy to the crowdness, so it doesn't
Yeah.
really feel
Yeah.
negatively proposed.
Yes. I
But
think it's
it really
Mhm.
comes back around like every design ideas have their own consequence, mostly because like
Yeah.
outdoors, you
Yeah.
really have any more concerns about stormwater and sorts.
Yeah.
So that's more views that I didn't really thought about.
Yeah.
before. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Mantap. Kalau dipresentasikan gimana? Maybe you can show us your design, so Pak Khairul can give you feedback directly.
Ya, insyaAllah.
Iya, I
Oh,
think it's a
sudah
good
ada.
idea ya, Pak. Nice
Ya,
idea.
sudah ada Nanda.
Iya,
Sudah ada.
sudah.
I'm sorry, Mama Rizal. I think I'm not really ready for that. Yes, because I'm
Apa
still in
Nan?
a very early phase.
Okay. All right, Nanta. You have my
Okay.
number. You have my number. You can WhatsApp me directly. No problem.
Okay. Yep. Okay. Thank you so much, Pak Khairul.
Okay.
I think the time is up ya, Pak ya.
Ya,
Udah
thank you
lewat
so
di
much.
sana sudah hampir jam 1, Pak ya.
Ya, ya.
Oke. Jadi terima kasih atas waktunya Pak Khairul
Hmm.
di sini. Jadi diskusinya yang sesi kedua udah mulai lumayan cair ini, cuman agak sedikit. Nah, harusnya kita ada desain mahasiswa yang bisa kita tampilkan sehingga Pak Khairul bisa memberikan respon terhadap desain mahasiswa tersebut. Ya, karena
InsyaAllah.
kesempatan ini kan harus kita optimalkan semaksimal mungkin gitu ya Pak ya.
Ya,
Jadi
insyaAllah.
eh, oke, mungkin lain waktu bisa Pak ya.
Ya, insyaAllah.
Insya Allah,
Boleh,
oke,
boleh,
terima
boleh, boleh.
kasih. Yap, oke, nanti feedback dari Pak Khairul akan sangat membangun apa proses desain kita ke depannya nanti, Pak. Oke,
Mahasiswa ke
eh,
UGM, Pak.
kenapa Pak Sus?
Mahasiswa diminta datang ke UGM langsung, Pak.
Oh,
Nah,
Jom. Mari.
oke,
Well,
oke,
we are
nice,
welcome all students
bagus.
from Brawijaya to UKM. Please
Oke, yes.
come to UKM.
Oke, ya. Oke, terima kasih atas waktunya Pak Khairul. Jadi mungkin di akhir saya mau menutup untuk acara ini. Jadi memang proses pemilihan material itu menjadi sesuatu yang sangat penting bagi proses desain. Jadi mahasiswa harus mengenal karakter material, harus mengenal beragam material dan juga teknik penggunaannya, fungsinya, pemanfaatannya, dan juga peranannya dalam desain, terutama untuk menurunkan suhu, estetika, dan juga fungsi environmental lainnya. Jadi selain mendesain through komputer, ya kalian harus mengenal karakter materialnya karena bisa jadi kelihatan bagus ketika di dalam di layar komputer kita, tapi ketika diinstal di lapangan, itu belum tentu sesuai dengan apa yang kita harapkan. Jadi harus mengenal betul karakter materialnya dan juga tujuan dari penggunaan material tersebut. Yap, overall memang proses desain itu kalian harus sudah punya ekspektasi terhadap atmosfer seperti apa yang mau dihasilkan. Sehingga pemilihan material, desain environment itu sudah mulai ditata supaya atmosfer yang diharapkan itu bisa kita dapatkan. Ya, oke. Terakhir, saya ucapkan terima kasih atas Pak Khairul materi yang sudah disampaikan. Thank you so much. Ya, terima kasih juga kepada
ya.
Pak Susilo, ada Bu Wasiska, ada Bu Emma, ada Bu India di sini yang setia menunggu, mendampingi mahasiswanya sampai siang ini ya. Iya, oke. Kita ketemu lagi ya, Pak Khairul. Masih ada satu sesi lagi kalau nggak salah ya.
Hah?
FGD.
Oh, FGD,
Oh,
iya.
FGJ.
Ada satu,
Okay,
ya,
okay.
oke.
Saya ingatkan
Ya.
ada lecture lagi. Terkejut apa ya?
Iya, terkejut Pak ya. Harusnya masih ada 10
Ya.
sesi lagi Pak ya. Oke. Ya.
All right.
Eh,
Okay. So
terima
maybe
kasih.
I just want to, can I have a few minutes? Okay.
Oke, ya Pak.
Thank you to all the students, especially for your time. I'm sorry if I haven't met any expectation of yours, but I try my best. As I said to you, this is gonna be a kind of like, especially this is designed for lecture for Brawijaya, special for you guys. But I try my best. Okay. But at the end of the day, thank you again for all your attendance and your participation for throughout these 2 days of our lectures. Yeah, I'm really happy to share whatever that I have. But only say, as I said, that I haven't, I'll probably very minimum that I share about my research work. Yeah, because my research work mostly is more on the objective, not on the subjective as what we discussed today. But
Hmm.
if we can have more session, no problem. I can share if you would like to know about how vertical landscaping or shading device can improve environment and so on. That is I'm happy to share with. All right. Okay. So again, thank you semua. Thank you Pak Susilo. Thank you Pak Rijal. Thank you Ibu Emma. Thank you Ibu Wasiska ya bersama di sini. Mungkin dosen-dosen yang lain dan juga kepada anak-anak atau adik-adik ya atau adik-adik mahasiswa. Good luck, all the best. Hopefully you can able to produce a very good job, good work for your design. All right, okay. So you have my number. Probably you can simply WhatsApp me. If I am able to answer, I hope I can do that, insyaAllah. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ya, Pak Khairul atas closingnya juga. Sekaligus kita mengakhiri sesi pada siang hari ini, sehingga habis ini kalian bisa lanjut untuk mengerjakan di studio. Ya, oke. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Saya sebagai moderator menutup acara ini. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Terima kasih Pak Khairul.
Terima
Ya,
kasih, Pak
terima
Khairul.
kasih
Terima
semua.
kasih Pak
Manfaat,
Khairul.
Ya, insyaAllah. Alhamdulillah.
Terima
Nanti
kasih.
saya share lecture note ya.
Ya, ya.
Alright.
Oke, ya.
Okay.
Baik, Pak.
Alright.
Ya.
Terima
Okay,
kasih.
terima kasih semua.
Terima
Assalamualaikum.
kasih.
Waalaikumsalam
Waalaikumsalam
warahmatullahi
warahmatullahi
wabarakatuh.
wabarakatuh.